Deepwater tells the story of a flight headed to Shanghai, and I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, but the flight ends up in the middle of the ocean where the survivors of the crash find out they are not the only ones in this water. Now, right off the bat, I will say this. As a shark movie, it falls right on its face and is not good. You do not get a lot of shark in this movie at all. As a natural disaster movie, this is okay and it's run of the mill. This movie can't really fully decide what it wants to be at all, so I'll give you that warning. There's not a lot of shark like I mentioned previously. The best way I can describe this movie is it feels like a natural disaster movie that has sharks as the obstacle that wants you to feel emotion from all of the characters and wants you to feel and connect with all of the characters. And that's basically the best way I can describe how I experienced this movie. The biggest surprise for me though was the actual theater. Now, when I usually go see like a horror movie or a horror adjacent movie, the theater is usually maybe half packed for big releases like Final Destination 6 is an example. Like I went to see Final Destination 6 early weekend, right? Like right when it came out at like 6:30, 7 or 7:30, one of those times when it was like a lot of people go to the area around my movies. And it was like half packed. This theater was packed. There was like maybe 5 or 6 seats left in the entire theater, and that was like in the very, very front. So I did not expect a movie like this to be as packed as it was, especially for a shark movie. I didn't expect that really at all. But let's actually talk about this movie. Going into the pros, I will say this movie is shot very well. There's one sequence where I call it the underwater crew, where someone has to climb. I think that was shot very, very well, and I really like that sequence too. And acting wise, I think this movie is okay. It's not the best at times, but I think the performance of the characters, they did what they were supposed to do. Even though I might not be a fan of 2 particular characters, I think acting wise they did a good job, especially the children. I think they did a really good job, no matter how I feel about one of them in particular. But my mixed, this is things that could have been positive, but there was a big holdback. First mix I have is the sharks. Now, if we're talking just like the fin of the water shots, you get like 2 or 3 of those. Looks terrible. It looks awful. But the actual sharks, it depends on the shot. When I was watching this movie, at one point, I'm like, that looks like an animatronic shark. Just end the movie. And then I saw another shot of the shark. I'm like, you know what? It looks okay. Another shot, I'm like, looks decent. It could look better. Oh, back to animatronic shark. So it depends on the shot. So overall, I will say the sharks look fine. Depending on the shot, they look worse than others. But those fin shots are terrible. And the plane crash itself too. I think overall, this sequence was done very well leading up to the disaster and the actual crash. However, the CGI fire holds us back tremendously. Now, there's one thing worse when it comes to this movie, which we will get to that. But the CGI fire really just takes away a lot from the scene. And if the CGI fire wasn't as bad as it was, it would probably be a pro. Going into, and there's one more I want to say. There are so many emotional beats in this movie. Now, like I said previously, there was a big audience, and this seemed really only to bother me a lot because I never sat at a movie and it says, I want you to feel for every character. You have a lot of heroic moments from different characters. You just have a lot of different stuff like that throughout the entirety of the movie, and it's like an hour and 50-minute movie, that it bothered me a little bit, and it really did get to me. And I've never had to sat in a movie and I'm like, oh my god, this is just so much stuff they want you to feel for. And that can be a pro for some, I'll give you that, because I did like, because at the end it did get to me with one storyline that did get to me. But other than that, it was a very mixed overall feeling that only seemed to bother me. Going into the negatives, the first negative is more negative adjacent, as it wasn't something the movie did directly, but it is something that took away my experience from the movie, because although I did not like this movie, I still got some enjoyment out of this movie. But has anyone ever seen a movie called Jumanji? And this one's from 2017. If you haven't, there's a character in that movie named Bravestone, and Bravestone has a distinct voice and smolder. And whenever this main character made a speech, spoke, And at one point, this main character, in one scene only, made a look that reminded me of the Smolder from Jumanji. And whenever this main character did any of that, I couldn't help but picture Greystone from Jumanji and that character. And ironically enough, those speeches given in this movie would work in Jumanji. Again, not necessarily something on the movie, but it is something that did take away experience from the movie as much as I found that kind of funny. But as for my actual negatives of the movie, the biggest one is the stupid reason for the disaster. And it is very stupid. And the way they planned that up, whenever that first happened, I'm like, no, there's gotta be something bigger. And then they do the stupid reason, and you have a character who was literally smoking, has a lighter, and has a cigarette. And you're gonna go with this stupid reason? Okay. Maybe others can overlook that stupid reason, but to me, I'm like, I know you're not about to do that. And they went the stupid reason route. Another thing they did that was really annoying was waiting way too long to kill off the very annoying character. Yes, this character was meant to be annoying, but what it felt like this movie was trying to do is it was going to be like, okay, we're going to have this character that no one likes and is annoying, but we're going to wait till everyone is almost saved, and then we're going to kill him off. Because we can't have this character live, we're just going to use him as much as humanly possible. And if they killed him off sooner, this wouldn't be a negative. But they waited way too long to kill this character off. Another character, and this is not on the actor, I will say for this one, is the little girl was annoying. Again, not on the actor here, because I think they do a good job. And the way they got to the end with the reunion, that did get to me a little bit. That's the one thing that honestly got to me. But the way they start out with the screaming, like, there's a shark, that got frustratingly annoying. But then the movie put this character in frustrating situations, where one person had to go constantly save her. And this was the only character that did it, by the way. And that's why it's more on the movie, there it is, the character. But she was less annoying and by the end of it, but she was really annoying. And that is really it for the negatives, because a lot of this movie was more in the mixed or negatives, and partly is my expectations, I will be honest with that. But I do have some spoilers. Going into the spoiler section, let's talk about the stupid reason. So you're telling me a charger with like this much wire goes through, and it's scanned, and like, keep in mind, no, it is seriously that much wire showing. You're telling me it's never happened in an airport. You're telling me that hasn't happened. And then it scans through, and of course, conveniently, the workers are ignoring it and not looking at it, not really doing their job, so it gets on the plane. And this caused a fire. And again, I can totally see people saying, well, wiring would do that, but this much wiring on a charger, you're telling me that's never happened in the airport before, and that's the reason for the fire. Not the person who would probably smoke on the airplane, cause it to go up there and cause the explosion. And again, I know that doesn't sound great, it sounds smart either, but that would make more sense than what actually happened that started the disaster. And the reasoning was stupid. But if you can put that aside, you can put that aside. But it was stupid at the end of the day. And the annoying characters, oh my god. Let's start with Little Girl, because I feel like that character is the least annoying of the two. She starts off with her family, who is newly married. She doesn't really want anything to do with her new sibling. So she separates from him, and as soon as she finds out she's in a disaster, she wants to go look for him. She's just annoying. She's like, oh my god, keep talking. And then you get to the shark, and girl, she's just going like, there's a shark. And I get you're trying to get her attention, but like, that was just annoying. And then once she realized you can't save the girl and she's gone, she's then put in a situation where everyone's told, go this way. She stays back. So the main character has to go and get her, putting his life at risk, adding the movie's fault onto like, oh, here's some danger, convenience. Let's use this character for all that. You have another scene where, again, she's standing there and he has to go save her. And then one more towards the end where she's like standing there. She doesn't really want to do anything. You know, she's sad with having with their family. That makes sense. So he has to swim over in the shark-infested water when they're about to get saved, swim over to save this girl and give her a speech about how her family would want to see her succeed and stuff like that. And then she comes down. And I know that sounds like I'm picking on the character, but she was the only character used like that, and that's why I want to point that out. As for the other annoying character, they waited way too long to kill this character off. You're telling me he is saying all this stuff, he is doing all this stuff, he is acting this way. And this is, again, acting-wise, I think this character does a good job portraying this type of really annoying character. Why couldn't they have killed him off when he knocks someone off the boat? Why couldn't the person like not fall off and knock him off instead? Why did you have to wait so long for the shark to come up and eat him? It feels that was kind of convenient. So they were just trying to be like, this character's not surviving till the end, so we'll just have him be eaten by the shark at the last minute. It would have been so much better if they just let that character like fall instead of the other guy, like significantly better. But putting those two aside, and this is more of a question I have up next, and that is the underwater swim up. Again, I know they say these are reefs, why the boat can't go over there, but you're telling me that you have 3 characters swim all the way underwater, go all the way up, and they don't see sharks? And you put that aside. Again, I don't know how deep this is or how deep they actually are, but you're telling me you can swim up that way? You can't see up, like you can't see everything above, so you have to be pretty deep in the ocean for that to happen. I don't fully buy that totally, but that's more of a question mark than anything else because I don't know exactly how deep it is. Now, this is more something I mentioned earlier with the emotional beats. And at one point, yes, they did play music to help you feel like emotional beats in the movie. It's something they actually did do. But I just did entirely love that for moments for the movie. And keep in mind, this movie's an hour and 50 minutes. Now, it's my work for people. So I'm going to go not in chronological order, but a lot of the emotional beats this movie tries to pull in one. Let's start off with the main character. The main character's son is sick. We see this in the very beginning scene when he's on the call with his wife, and again towards the end where he's calling his wife and his son and he's going home to them. You then have the newly married couple. Now, this is where you get two or three different storylines depending on what you do. You have the divided couple that they get separated. So the couple, they get separated and the children each get separated. And you follow the main character with the little girl, and she is just trying to help her new sibling and find her new sibling, which she's not a big fan of yet. But she wants to go and help her sibling. Is she being a little bit annoying by the movie? A little, yes, when it comes to that. But eventually when she is reunited with her new sibling, that moment did get to me at the end. I'm not gonna lie, I did not find her annoying at that last scene. I think that kind of redeems a little bit of the annoyance I had with this her character in this movie. And of course you have the parents trying to come up and save their kid. You also have, and this is 3 in 1, you have two people who like each other but want to be together but can't be together, and they do get together at the end. And you have 2 leaders who don't like each other at the same time. One from where they're going and one from United States. And within this, you also have the team leader in charge of the team give up his self-sacrifice for his students. All 3 in 1 there. And you of course have like the bad guy as a father, like he wants to be part of his kid's life and stuff like that. You also have the underwater crew stuff where they're trying to really help not only the boy of that separated family, but he's trying to help the boy up. And you go down and they swim up. And even the man in that situation is trying to self-sacrifice to help the other 2 or save everyone else up there. You also have the grandmother, whose main characters, she's a grandmother. Did we necessarily have seen her on her phone? No, I think her sacrifice would have been fine if she just stayed there, but you didn't make 4 minutes. That's just a side thing. You also have, again, that coach sacrifice. And again, I know that sounds like, oh, that could really work in the movie, and it absolutely could for some. But when you watch it all together, and there are like a few other smaller things, it's like the bigger ones, it just felt like a lot when watching it. And it felt like a lot it was trying to tell me to feel bad for. And again, this movie also fully couldn't decide what it wants to be. Follow me by the end, everyone's phone's fine. That's crazy to me, because you saw how much water everyone had to go through and your phone's fine. That's just crazy. So overall, I will say this movie is a bad shark movie. As a natural disaster movie, it's okay and maybe run of the mill. So comment down below if you saw Deepwater, if you are gonna go see it. Did you not like it? Not like it? Comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon with a brand new review.